me to you.
It's Colourful. And it's live with me, Rosemary Laye, with you until 1 o'clock. Now, Silvia Krupinska is in the house to introduce her Artist of the Month, which is actually a woman I'm very excited about this, Silvia.
Yes. Hello, Rosemary.
Hello, how are you?
Very well, thank you. With a smile on my face today.
A smile on your face. Now, I know you have featured a female before, but that's a long while ago.
Yes, it was Nicola Anthony a while ago. Now we are on the 8th Artist of the Month, and it's deservingly a female artist.
Okay, but name is it Anne Bevan?
Yeah, it's right, yes.
Okay, tell us about Anne, please.
Anne Bevan, well, let me tell you how I come across usually finding my artist is I walk in London, I walked in South Kensington, and I was just walking and passing actually a place where I've never been and visited an exhibition there before. It's the Royal British Society of Sculptors. Very exciting. I always wanted to go in, but never had a chance, and I had a very good excuse. I saw a flyer in front of it with a picture and certainly caught my attention. Made a note in my diary, name Anne Bevan. That was it. From that point on, I knew she's got to be the one for today's slot. There was an exhibition that I recommend to see as well for the listeners called Things Unspoken.
Before the exhibition, though, you mentioned that the flyer, actually caught your eye. What was it on the flyer?
There was a piece of hers. It's called Ghost. It's this kind of ghostly. It looked to me like a shell-like, mythical object, which I couldn't quite identify what it was. Organic looking, and that's what I'm drawn to.
Yes.
Yes. So that was it. So Things Unspoken was the exhibition and the flyer. In fact, it's a two-person show. It's a show of two female artists, Andrea Rowe and Anne Bevan, and it's curated by Jane Varilow, which is freelance curator from Edinburgh as well. Now, Anne Bevan, she was delightful to talk to. We did the interview on Skype because she's based in Edinburgh, and she just made me feel really good, and she just so natural and just like I was mentioning to you before the show, really optimistic, and her originality in her work comes across in her personality as well. She was born in northern Scotland, in Orkney, which is the islands of Orkney, and that's certainly influenced her creativity. Now she's teaching and living in Edinburgh. She's teaching, lecturing at the School of Sculpture at the Edinburgh College of Art. For a while, and she is really the most established artist I had the honour to portray. So I feel very pleased about that, especially a female artist like we say.
Yes. So is Anne a sculptor?
Yes, she does. Expresses her thoughts and processes through sculpture, through media, through video installations and photography as well. So she's well-rounded mixed media artist, I'd say, yes. But I find her sculptures and photography really inspiring, and that's why I chose her today for today's slot.
And is she all about organics as well? Because I know you're all about that, aren't you?
Yes, well, the way how she expresses her works are close to my heart. Yes, and it's the texture really I'm drawn to. I can't help myself, and also I hope the listeners will find it good to kind of, because easier to talk about sculptures and paintings on the radio. So that's one of the reasons why I tend to go for sculptors and artists with mixed media coverage. Her work is really often about the sea, connecting with the previous artist of the month we had from Mexico. Jason DeCurry.
The underwater installation.
That's right, yes. So I just thought, oh, wow, that I knew it's going to come up soon, that the sea, but I didn't know it's going to be already now, yes.
Oh, wow, okay. So we understand that obviously she uses the sea. We understand that she's a sculptor and she's also a photographer. So describe her work, though. You know, I mean, you mentioned this ghost. What is the material that she uses?
Yes, a good question. She uses a mixed variety of materials, and in those is artistically exploring hidden or invisible aspects of the environment and environmental studies and environmental issues which are in our everyday lives, so that she doesn't focus on those directly but kind of takes them as they are in our daily lives, and either under the ground, explores the themes under the ground, or on the tidal edge, or on the in the air, on the sand, really looking at the particles of who we are and why we are here, and the exploring it through materials of different kinds. Good example, like you started already with Ghost, the piece that is present now in the Things Unspoken exhibition in the Royal British Society of Sculptors. Ghost, what is Ghost? It's ghostly from the title, but it's really a 3D enlarged acrylic print of marine plankton organism. Now I'll explain further. The 3D print, as sometimes the architects use the 3D printers to produce the models of buildings, same technique was used this time after scanning a minuscule 0.5 millimeter organic one-cell organism, which is called foraminifer, which is, I studied this and shared this, all this is quite educational.
Yes.
And that was enlarged after the CT scan. It was CT scanned.
Yes.
And enlarged into this 3D printed sculpture made from acrylic. It was framed, it was put into a glass glass cabinet with maple wood, and underneath was a neon light gently going through, as the sculpture itself is slightly see-through and very kind of delicate inside. The material is resiny like acrylic, which allows you to see the structure inside. Similarly on the prints, on the card I gave you, yes, that's right. There are prints, and you can also follow me on the blog as I talk as well, but we can give the details very soon. The print of the sculpture itself, there are a couple of prints in the exhibition, Ghost 2 and Ghost 3. They are available to see. I would certainly recommend.
So is the one-cell organism within the acrylic material?
No, it's actually enlarged into this sculpture. So as you are looking at this hand-sized sculpture piece installed, you are looking at that one cell enlarged into these massive proportions now, comparatively to its real size.
So is she inspired by science?
Indeed, she worked closely on this with with scientists like Kate Darling from the University of Edinburgh. And also researching all the resources, collections in Natural History Museum in London. So her work is based in collaborations, often with other professionals. Okay,
because most people will think, well, as an artist, I'm going to collaborate with another artist, but she's working with the scientists as well.
Yes, I think that's the secret to her success, I'd say, that working together collaboratively with other people and joining. I always believed in that as well, joining together to make something great.
Very good. If you just tuned in, welcome along. Silvia Krupinska is in the house introducing to us her Artist of the Month, Anne Bevan. We'll speak some mention the showers right now. Okay, Silvia Krupinska is still with us talking all things art, and her Artist of this month is Anne Bevan, who is an Edinburgh-based sculptor.
That's right.
Photographer.
And
educator.
Media artist, yes.
So now, before we heard from Avery Sunshine, we spoke about her collaborations, and I mentioned that I read somewhere that she collaborated with scientists, and you said yes. But there are other people outside the artistic realm that she's collaborated with as well.
Indeed, my admiration really is for her collaborations. She, in my mind, is the queen of collaborations. She doesn't much focus on collaborating with artists, creative professional, but she focuses on scientists, engineers, designers, furniture makers, for example, for the stands, for the exhibitions, and writers, Janice Galloway, for example, musicians, performer artists, and interestingly, scientific glass blowers. As well. You can see example of that collaboration in the exhibition I mentioned earlier, Things Unspoken, work called Flow. It's a glass vase tube which is moving and creating this wave effect. I'll mention the detail of the show at the end of the program.
Okay.
Now, good example for the collaborations, talking of collaboration, is the work called Moonpool. Now, you think Moonpool, that's quite interesting. It's 2-meter diameter outdoor installation set in in Aberdeenshire in Scotland in Tyrebagger Forest, which was a public artwork commission, and the pool, which I'll explain in the process. You'll understand what it looks like very, very soon. But the pool is surrounded with the poetry by the Janice.
With the poetry, the words.
Janice Galloway was collaborating with her on this as well.
Okay.
And the pool is set. It's basically a bronze relief sculpture set in the ground, in the forest, and on the trees that are surrounding the forest there are rings of poetry. So that's just another example of collaboration.
Yeah.
You'll understand visually about sculpture more when I tell you about the process. So it was done casting on a beach. She wanted to achieve the wave water effect. And casting the wheat was as an imprint of water was done on a beach in Edinburgh with plaster firs in 4 pieces, and the weather gone. I saw a photo of the work in progress, and the sky got so dark at the end, and thunders and lightning was going on. It was very atmospheric and quite scary indeed, but exciting at the same time to be there. The process continued into foundry, following different structures and processes, eventually ending up in bronze. So the bronze wavy round sculpture relief was set into the ground in 2002. And then, what's behind the idea of the moon pool? They started with thinking about fairy tales of the forest and combining it with the folk ideas of stories and ideas of mysticism, and then again back to water and back to her origins in Orkney, where she studied and lived surrounded by the sea when she was growing up there. So it all comes together beautifully in this marvelous moon pool project, I think.
And where's the moon pool?
It's in Tyrebagger Forest in Aberdeenshire.
Right,
yes.
Okay, so we have to go all the way up there to see that then.
Yes, well, unfortunately, there are some photographs, although, on her website and the blog as well, which is very good. And, if you're intrigued, have a look at it.
Okay, so that's the moon pool, and you have something else about water, I believe.
Yes. Now, interestingly, she, as I mentioned earlier, she likes to walk and work around water, and so a project called Undercover was a solo exhibition in Fruit Market Gallery, which there was 2 pieces that really caught my attention. It's called Undercovered Pipes. Now, she was studying the pipelines of history of pipelines of water and working closely with local water authority. She found out that before, in 1700s, there were actually tree trunk pipelines under the ground for water, following in Victorian era with the cast iron, and now being changed into the blue plastic ones. She cast 2 of those wooden ones for the exhibition, painting it using the blue color of the recent plastic ones. And I'd like to use the quote she told me. She said she was working with the history of the pipe and taking it into the present through the materials. So again, her exploring the materials, looking at the water as sources, pipes. Quite a very unusual concept, but visually very satisfying.
She's an eco-artist, isn't she?
You can say that, but she doesn't go on about it. She just gets on with it,
yes.
like we all should in our everyday lives.
Absolutely, I hear you. So her exhibition, please, Sylvia, where can our listeners see it?
Quickly, before we run out of time, Things Unspoken in Royal British Sculptors Society, ending on 13th of July. More details on my blog, as always, silviakrupinska.wordpress.com, silviakrupinska.wordpress.com.
Wonderful. So that's more information about Anne Bevan, and then indeed all the other artists that you've spoken about as well on your blog. Sylvia, thank you so much as always.
My pleasure.